This young lady, she hails from the Texas area, came by the way of California. She is a strong woman. And one of the things that stuck in my head when I start meeting her and watching her, well, she's the kind of woman that doesn't back down for any trouble or challenge. Write that down. She doesn't back down from any troubles or challenges. And walked up to Mr. Cooper and said, I need you in Texas. And he said, when and where? And she said, when and where? And she said, I'll make it happen. And you know what? She like she said, she didn't have an idea. See, that's what I respect out of people like her. Leaders just go ahead and make it anyway. She also decided to be a locksmith, and she got fed up with that. She, there's got to be a better way. And when she saw ACN, she said, I'm all in. And this woman doesn't back down. Look, if you catch her in a bear fight, honestly, Kathleen Williams, Al Randolph, if you catch her in a bear fight, Sam Foster, you're going to help the bear out. She's a little piece of leather, but she's well put together. Her favorite thing to eat is tacos. Come on, everybody. Let's give a warm welcome to Miss Roxann Corralejo, Regional Director.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. Oh my goodness. I love that view that you have behind you. I love that you're out and about. First things first, I want to say Merry Christmas, everybody. I went with my festive background. You see the tree and everything in the background. Happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, whatever it is that you guys celebrate. I just want to say that it doesn't matter what you guys celebrate. It doesn't matter your backgrounds. I love you all. We are all on this call today. And I know all of us have a whole bunch of stuff going on in our lives, and we can be anywhere else right now, like a lot of people are. But you guys are on this call, so I appreciate you for being committed. And I do want to give an extra appreciation for Mr. Thomas. Thank you so much. I did have some conflict last week, and I was freaking out about it, and I was actually really, really stressed. And I contacted Mr. Thomas, and he said, don't worry about it. I got you. And that is the type of person Mr. Thomas is, that instantly all the stress, all the anxiety, everything I was feeling was gone in an instant. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your kind words, but I appreciate you as a person overall and for the most part. So thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. And I appreciate this opportunity. So I am super happy to be here with you guys today and talk about total commitment again and what we're talking about commitment. Last time we broke down the word commitment and what it is to be committed. What does that mean? And all the definitions I went through, pretty much it is to follow through with a promise. And the biggest word is going to be follow through, and you have to make a promise to something. So that is a commitment. So if I ask everybody on this call, are you committed to ACN? Most of us would say yes. Are you totally committed to ACN? Who here is totally committed to ACN? Right now, here today, completely 100% totally committed. So let's break that down a little bit. Everyone's raising their hand. So everyone's totally committed to ACN. We're on the same page, right? Let's break that down and what it means to be totally committed. Because all you guys would say, yes, I'm all in. I am here. I plug in every day. I do what everybody's asking me to do. I am committed to ACN. Well, are you really totally committed? And that's kind of what I want to break down. And it might open your guys' eyes a little bit and might shift some. And hopefully it does, because that's the whole point, right? To get that mental shift going, to be that total commitment. What does that look like? So you guys say, yes, I'm totally committed. I'm here. I'm all about ACN. Nothing nobody can do will make me leave. I will not leave. I am here to the day I die. Well, let's talk about a marriage. I want to break down a marriage because a marriage is a commitment. It's a contract. It's a commitment to your spouse. It's a commitment to another person, to yourself, and to a relationship. So you show up every day to this relationship. You're in your marriage, you show up, you're there, you work, you provide, yet you come home, you're totally committed, you are faithful to that person in and out, like you said, to the day you die. But every day you come home and you're arguing. You're arguing via text, you're arguing on the phone at work all day long. You guys are fighting. The kids are driving you nuts. Everything outside is pounding on you guys. And you do the same thing day after day after day, in and out. Nobody's happy. Everybody's fighting, but you're committed. You say you're totally committed. But a total commitment means putting in the work. That word commitment, when we broke it down, it said follow through with a promise. follow through. That word requires work. You have to follow through with something. You have to work at it. You have to put in, you have to give your all. So when we follow through with a marriage, that means evaluating what's going on. That means talking to your partner. That means maybe bringing someone from the outside in to like take a look and see what's going on. So doing the same thing every day, in and out, day after day after day, with the same results, no improvement, no growth, that's not total commitment, because you're not following through. So you got that word commitment, you have that promise, but that follow through. So if we're talking about ACN, are you following through with ACN? Are you making those peaks every day? Mr. Thomas is asking. So what are results? Do you have results? Do you only have one result to share? Because if we're changing one thing, doing one thing, it is movement forward, but that is not movement into a business. That's a hobby, you guys. A hobby is not total commitment. So are you making those movements? Are you totally committed to ACN? Are you committed to 5 peaks a day, 10 peaks a day, whatever it is? Are you committed to getting a rep a week or a customer a day, a customer a week? What is your commitment? And I definitely want you to sit down and evaluate your commitment to this business or anything else that you have going on in your life that you say you're totally committed to, because a total commitment requires work. I think it requires 4 things. The first thing is, first, it's going to be your promise, that first commitment. What are you making that promise to? So first we have to identify, what is it? So for me, for instance, I started off with a clear promise that I was going to hit regional director. When I hit regional director by LCC, the Leadership Convention, we had a qualification. I said, by this date, I promise I will hit regional director. That's the promise I made. And then the second thing, after we make that clear promise, is going to be a plan. If you have a promise, we have to make a plan. Same thing as a marriage, there has to be a plan. Do we want kids? What do we want this marriage to look like? Same thing. To hit regional director, I needed to put together a plan. So my plan was, I'm going to make a list. I'm a year and a half in the business at this point when I'm on my RD run. A year and a half in this business, I had yet to make one list. I'm a business owner. I know how to run a business. I do my own thing. I didn't follow the system. So my plan was, I'm going to follow the system. It wasn't a hard plan, but I had to do it. I had to follow through. So I made my list. That was the first thing I did. And I said, okay, my plan is going to make my list. I'm going to make these calls, and I am going to stay committed to this. Well, then once I have that plan together, the third aspect of being totally committed to something is execution. And I think this is the most important, because this is where a lot of us fall short, that execution, because there's so many things that come into our world that deter us from that execution. Me, at that time, I'm completely running my locksmith company, 100% me. I'm getting all the calls. So to be totally committed to this took a lot of work, a lot of dedication, some delegation. I had to let business go sometimes when I have these emergency calls. So my plan was, my execution was, I was going to pick 3 days out of the week, 3 days, completely block my calendar for 8 hours. That is a full working day. This is a business. I want to fully work ACN. I blocked out 8 hours for 3 days out of 1 week to focus on that list, make phone calls, and then to go with this system, ask for that promise that I never did before. Favor, help, try. I finally implemented that and put that into action. So once that happened, I actually hit my goal, because no matter what, I got calls and I said, okay, I'm not paying attention to anything. I'm clear on ACN. And sometimes I would send calls, oh, so-and-so didn't call me back. I could have stopped and went for a lockout. I could have gotten out of my seat and did my primary main first job, but I didn't, because I stayed committed to the plan. I said, this is my execution. If you can wait till 5 o'clock, I can be there. If not, it is okay. You can call someone else, but I can't be there until 5 o'clock. That was my goal. So I stayed committed to it. Sure enough, I hit it. Yes, I hit regional director. I was so happy about that. Within that week, I went from like 26 points to 122 points. I focused on customers because I made a plan. I had a promise. I made a plan and I executed. Now, the fourth thing, the most important thing as well, is once we get all this, now we got to talk about, we have to evaluate. Just like every promise in our life, Once we go through a certain time period, a season, we have to reevaluate that promise. We have to reevaluate that plan. I hit that goal, that RG goal. I hit it. And where I fell short is I didn't reevaluate. So what happened? I didn't do anything. I hit regional director. I went to LCC. I had a good time. And that was it. Now, what's next for my ACN business? And it started declining a little bit. I stayed regional director. I never fell out, but it started going backwards. So then that's when I was like, wait a minute, I'm missing a step. What step is it? I got to reevaluate. I have to make other goals. I have to make another plan. That commitment has to change. So that commitment has to be bigger than hitting RD, hitting regional director. Hitting that position was part of a bigger plan, and I didn't know it at the time. So now I kind of want to go through a little bit of an example of something that has happened outside of ACN, something bigger, a bigger picture, because we want to talk about more. ACN is a vehicle. So to be totally committed to ACN, you want to have more, because there is more that goes along with it. So if I'm totally committed to ACN, what does that look like? I want to be happy overall in a bigger aspect of life. So this time last year, I was really going through it. I was going through the ringer, having a hard time. And I said, you know what? For once in my life, I am 38 years old. For once in my life, I'm going to make a commitment to myself. And for me, that was selfish. That was super selfish. So to give you guys a little bit of background about myself and why that's a big deal. So I want you to really hone in on a promise that's dear to you. And this is what I want us to do, is make a promise. By the end of this call, make a promise, a commitment that you can be totally 100% committed to, that nothing will veer you off from it, and you're willing to put in the work, you're willing to follow through, you're willing to execute, evaluate, and grow from. So for me, that one was, I need to focus on myself. So a little bit of history about me. When my mom had me at 15, super, super young. And I am the oldest of 3 girls. So the reason why I tell you that is because I always felt an obligation to help out, an obligation to other people. So what really makes me happy is being that yes person. And I know a handful of you guys are probably in that same boat, is that you guys are always doing something for other people. And that's me. I always came last, or I still kind of always come last, but I want to make sure I do more focus on me. So as I was younger, my mom would tell me at about 3 or 4 years old, when my sisters had came about, I was changing their diapers. So my mom got super sick. My mom was diagnosed with cancer when she was 18 years old. I was just 3 years old, and seeing her super sick, I wanted to help out. Now, I wasn't any good 4 years old changing diapers, but that was me. And I felt at such a young age that I needed to help out. Let me help out mom. Let me try to help out with the girls. Let me help out with my sisters. Well, fast forward a little bit, and this is me trying to always help out and do more for other people. I am 20 years old, and my mom passes. She passes of cancer, and my sisters are still in high school. I'm in college. So without any question, without a doubt, I leave school because that is my obligation. I need to. There was not a question. I leave school, I go home, and I make sure the girls go through high school and that they complete and they graduate and do what I need to do. I have a house. I have to get a full-time job. I have to pay rent. I have to do all these things. As an adult at 20 years old, where people are getting drunk in the dorms and having a good time, I'm over here living a full life like my mom did at 20. She had 3 girls to raise, so I did it myself. It wasn't anything that I felt like I was missing out. It was just something that was part of life and I had to do. So my sisters went to school, and then I finally was able to focus on me, but I didn't focus on me. I went back to school when the girls graduated, and I continued to do what I wanted to do. I had goals, and I'm a goal-oriented person, so I meet them. But it wasn't really my focus. It was always what I felt like I had to do. I got into relationships, and I moved for other people. I wanted to fulfill that role. So that's a little bit about my background and why I have that need to help other people. So focusing on me was a really, really big deal and selfish. But I said, I need to do this. Why? Because you have to be happy inside to be able to share and be happy outside with everybody else. So what I did is I first made that promise to myself, and then I made a plan. What does that look like? What does it look like to focus on me? I don't know. One is I want to travel. I only traveled for work before, for ACN, for events I had to do. It was always for something else, never for me. And I said, no, I need me travel time. I love to travel. I love to experience things. And trips that I made that I did have for vacation was other friends' vacations. So they weren't my vacations. So I said, okay, one of the first plan is I'm going to travel more. The second part of the plan was that I was going to reevaluate my relationships because I am that yes person, because I am giving so much to other people. There are people in my life that kind of leech off of that take my positivity, my energy, everything that they can, and absorb, and it leaves me exhausted. And there are people that just gossip all the time and that are just so negative energy. And I said, all right, I love all these people because I'm a caring, giving person. And I see people shaking their head. They're agreeing. Yep, I understand. Yep, that's me. I get it. I know a lot of us are like that. So I sat and I reevaluated my relationship, and I completely cut off people in my life that didn't do anything wrong, that didn't think that like, oh my gosh, why isn't she talking to me anymore? I had to do it for me. And I knew they weren't going to understand because that was them. Like, oh, well, I can help you. I can do this. Well, they don't come through for you. So that's okay. I reevaluated my relationships and I cut people out of my life, and they still to this day, they will reach out, and I'm super short and I say, yeah, hey, they reach out when they need something, of course. I respond because there's no hatred, there's no animosity, but then instantly, oh my gosh, you don't believe what happened. So-and-so did this, so-and-so said that. And it's negative energy right away. So what I do, I nip that in the bud and I stop responding. I don't say anything bad. I don't say anything positive. I don't give them advice because what they're reaching for is for me to help them feel better. Because that's what I always did. And I said, no, if you're still bringing this negative energy, you don't need my time at all. So that was my plan, and that's my execution. I made sure I made plans for myself and I took them. I had such a fun 2022. I enjoyed myself every step of the way. A lot of trips were for work, but you know what? I made sure either before or after I did something for me. I started viewing the cities. I started going to events. I went to Alaska and had the time of my life in my own element. And that was the best thing in the world because y'all, service isn't that great out there. So that's where the reevaluation comes into play. So we had the promise, the plan, the execution, and then evaluation. So Alaska was my evaluation time to sit in complete silence. Nobody can get a hold of me. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't stress about it because what can I do? I can't do anything till I get home. So we went on hikes, we did things, and I just sat in the silence, hearing the wind just blow. It's cold. You hear that frost, waterfalls everywhere because snow is melting everywhere. And I evaluated, okay, I have had the best year because I focused on me. I had so many opportunities come to my door, finances come to my door, better and happier relationships come to my door because I stuck to a promise. Now, does that mean total commitment, that you completely cut everything out and that nothing else matters but that commitment? No, because when we talk about a bigger commitment, there's so much more that goes into it. And I shared with it last time that a few weeks before this Dallas event, my grandfather got really sick. Now, I am used to caring for other people. I told you that's what I did. When my mom got sick, I was her hospice caregiver on top of full-time work, on top of making sure the kids went to school, all that stuff. I was her full-time caregiver, making sure she was clean, her medications, all that stuff. So I did the same thing for my grandfather. I've done that for other people in the past. And so that makes me feel better. But if I focus just on that word, if I was totally committed to myself, I would have said, no, I have to focus on myself. I can't go back home. I can't help you guys take care of them. I can't be there because this is a commitment I made to myself. Absolutely not. Because that is a part of me still, giving to other people. That is my passion. That is not something I'm going to give away. Get up. Absolutely not. But being there, that helps fulfill a need that I needed inside me. So when we talk about this word total commitment, that doesn't mean to completely block everything out, because that could go back. And I hope you guys are getting what I mean by this is caring for him. I was exhausted. It's a lot of work to do that those last few weeks, but being there for him was a part of that total commitment to me, because caring for other people is part of me. So I hope you're catching that. If you're totally committed, if you say you're committed to ACN, does that mean you leave your other obligations? Absolutely not. Focus on what makes you happy, what fulfills you to fulfill this promise. So I want to go back to what was the first thing we were talking about. In order to do this, to stay totally committed, is to make a promise. I want all you guys to think about a promise to yourself. 2023 is right around the corner. So my promise to myself for 2023 is a financial goal. It really is a financial goal because caring for other people, you don't make a lot of money doing that, y'all. You forget about yourself so much. I let my businesses, running them and giving to other people, I was in a financial hardship, and it's hard to say and hard to believe because I had so much going on, but I really was. So my 2023 goals, I said, you know what, I want to up my finances because the more I make, the more I can give. This is the best Christmas ever. I spent so much money on the people that I love, and I can't wait for them just to see their gifts, open their presents. It's fantastic feeling. So my goal for 2023, my plan, my commitment is I want to increase those finances so I can give more to the community, give more to the church, and give more to my family. And what do I need to do that? So one is that promise. Two is that commitment, that plan. It is the middle of, well, just past the middle of December. I already have $60,000 outlined between the beginning of January to mid-June. 60,000. Now, am I going to make all that? I hope so. That's plan, that's money coming in, but I hadn't done the work yet. But I have contracts, I have stuff I'm committed to. They made promises to me. That's money that's outlined to come in already. And work hasn't been done. Does that mean I can make another 60 grand in that time? Absolutely. Because that means I just got to recruit people. I got to make sure they get qualified. I got to get paid. There's so many different ways to get paid. So I can double that between here and now. But I have that plan mid-December between January and June, what that financial goal is going to look like and what's already coming into my bank account. Now is the execution part. Well, I can't really do that yet because we're not there. So beginning of January is when we start the execution, but we have to start today. So first, make that commitment today. Whatever it is, share it with someone if you want to. You do not have to because this is something personal to yourself. Just make sure you stay committed to it. Make sure you keep that promise to yourself. Make that plan. Goal 2, how are we going to execute it? If it's a financial goal, how are you going to get there? If it's a position in ACN, how are you going to get there? 3 is execution. So we got to make that plan to execute it. So yeah, we know how we're going to get there, but what are the works to make it happen? For me, my RD goal was I was going to make that list. I was going to make a call. Well, I could say, well, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. This came up. I'll do it tomorrow. No, plan out your execution as well. Are you going to knock out 4 hours a day? Are you going to exclude everything else? Tell the kids, hey, I don't care what's going on within these 4 hours. Do not bother me. Do not call me. If you're bleeding, call dad, call grandma, whatever it is. I don't want to hear about it. These 4 hours are for me, and it's for execution. And then plan on how you're going to reevaluate, how you're going to evaluate this goal, how you're going to grow, how you're going to make it better. Because being on this call, this is one of the commitments a lot of us have made, being on this call every single day. But do you take notes? Do you have a plan to actually absorb? Do you have a plan to look at those notes, review them, evaluate how you're putting this stuff into your lives? I do. Some of the stuff I told you that I've done when we talked about Mr. Thomas asking us to go look at $1 million home. And I'm like, well, I went and looked at a $5 million home. Are you implementing what's happening on these calls? You made the commitment to be here, but don't let it be a waste of your time. Have that total commitment and actually put a plan in place, get it together and get it done. I am so excited for this next season, you guys. I'm so excited for myself. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for all the people around us, because it doesn't matter what happens as we grow. I know all of us are in the same boat as me. Other people around us are going to grow as well. Rising tides floats all boats. Let's get this. I am stoked. Christmas is around the corner. Let's celebrate with our families. Let's love them. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. I appreciate the time. I appreciate always being here and being allowed to speak what's on my mind.